Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm muted.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody,
And
and welcome to the first Hall of Game of 2022. My name is Christian. I'm joined by a panel that is not fully complete, but we're going to fill time, make some great conversation about some great games tonight. I'm joined, of course, by Mike Connors. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing great, man. Ready to talk about some video games, ready to make my case for what I think should be in the Hall of Game, and I'm ready to see what everybody else brought. So I'm doing well. I'm excited. I'm happy to be here.
Of course, yeah, happy to have you here. Also joining us, Jack Martin. How are you, Jack?
I am good. Happy to be here as always. I love these quarterly meetings that we have. It's very nice. And I also really like picking people's brains about what they're bringing, because I think some very personal choices that we all bring, and some overlap too. So I'm very excited for this.
Absolutely. And rounding out the panel, Omar Nakvi, how are you doing?
What's up, Christian? I'm really excited to be here. Not as excited as I am to be seeing Morbius tonight out in theaters now. But I'm pretty excited. Thanks for having me. Ready to talk.
Hell yes. So a few things to note before we get rolling with the ceremony. PC problems, so no cams. You're not missing out on anything. We don't have cams, but we have a few visual things lined up for this presentation. Hopefully that will be ironed out by the next one. Kevin Diaz also could not make it. Unfortunately, something came up. He's fine, but things took priority. So Kevin will be joining us for the summer induction that will be happening in just a few months. So if this is your first time tuning into the Hall game, what this is, as we've established, the order comes together and we all pick a game, we bring it to the ceremony, we try and fight for our game in a 5 to 6 minute presentation. However, we choose to present the game. At the end of the presentation, we enter a period of Q&A where the members of the order must pick it apart, as Jack said, pick brains, bring up flaws. Maybe it's things that we don't necessarily think about the game, but it's a reputation we've heard, or if it's a personal taste thing, we can ask questions because the games have to earn their way in. After that's done, after all of us present, we will go one at a time, talk through our process, because we'll be voting on the games we think deserve it the most. I did look back the last time we did this with just the four of us. I believe we only did the 5-point vote and the 3-point vote, and I think that worked out fine then, so we can do that again this time, unless we all want to just throw out 1 point as well. I think that wouldn't change the math that much, but I think that's the gist of it. That's everything. Does anybody know what the two recent entries into the Hall of Game were, off the top of the head?
It was
Outer Wilds and Skyrim.
Outer Wilds, yeah, that's right.
Sorry,
Yes.
didn't want to. I was too excited.
Oh, you know, I actually tried out Outer Wilds since then. I didn't spend too much time in it, but I thought it was very cool for the time that I did spend in it. And yeah, great that a Hall of Game pick was introduced to me in that way. So love it.
That's
I will
awesome.
second that from Mike. I went through. I had to use a guide for it because there are some parts where I was very confused about it, but I had a absolute blast playing through that game and highly recommend it.
Did you use one Kevin Diaz's video guide for it, Jack?
No, because I think Kevin made guides for like the DLC, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
and I did
yeah,
not
okay.
for the DLC.
Gotcha.
But I was actively looking out to use them.
Mhm.
But I don't think I was playing the correct content.
Well, that's exciting. I'm the only one now that hasn't played Outer Wilds, so I should fix that.
Gotta do it.
Get on that, Christian.
Yeah, I will say, in my defense, I will say, like, 3 nights ago, I did start a character in Fallout New Vegas for the first time, and that was a inductee last year as well. So,
Nice. Love it.
yeah, that was cool. I fought a gang, and then I shut it off. So
Oh, very nice.
Well, I played some Apex Legends when they added the 2v2 mode.
okay.
Oh, nice.
It was
Okay.
alright.
Has this been a year of the Hall of Game? Just curious.
It has,
Must
Mike.
be, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is 1 year. There are 8 entries over the course of the year. We're going to be hitting 10 tonight once we decide what these next two are, which is very exciting. Just to run through, since we've listed a few of them, a year ago today, we inducted Super Mario 60, or not today, but a year ago in this time frame. Super Mario 64 and Wii Sports, followed by Fallout New Vegas and Apex Legends, then Portal 2 and Mirror's Edge, and as we said last time, Outer Wilds and Skyrim. So, exciting lineup of games. As the person who puts this thing together, I think there's an exciting lineup of games tonight as well. So we are going to get rolling. We're going to do the random wheel spin to figure out who is presenting first. It is spinning. Tick tock, tick tock. And the first presenter of the evening is Jack Martin.
Nice. I love
Let's
going
go.
first because I can get over with. I'm going to attempt to share my screen. All right. I'm going to do this real quick. Christian, I'm sharing. Can you see that, Christian?
I have to pull up something quick, but it should be able to work fine, I believe. Because it's just a PowerPoint, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I think this should work.
Yeah, let me know when we're all good.
Okay. The PowerPoint is pulled up.
All right. Perfect. I'm going to begin. So let me know if you can't hear me along the way.
Before, I think, Jack,
sorry.
I think you might have the stream pulled up on the computer still, or maybe not.
Yeah, I was hearing.
You want to mute it?
I
maybe
have
it's
it
fine.
muted. Okay.
Okay, it was probably fine.
All right, sweet. All right, yeah. At any point, let me know if you can't hear me. I've been having some mic difficulty, but we'll get started. I'm gonna do this real quick. I don't have too much to say about it, so I'll try and get us out of the way real quick. I would like to talk about the king of the 2000s licensed games, and that would be the Simpsons Hit and Run. It's a very simple game. You don't really do a whole lot, but it's very fun. You just kind of jump, kick, and drive around as various members of the Simpsons cast. But I think its simplicity, coupled with some fun and very entertaining dialogue, is really kind of what makes this game shine. I think that the really funny ESRB descriptor of cartoon mischief goes a long way of describing it in a very good way. It is just kind of mischief going around, playing as these characters, running into things, and then quipping about your actions that you're doing in the game. I think playing as different characters across Springfield makes it diverse enough in terms of gameplay that it really should be boring on paper, considering what you do is just drive, jump, kick around and stuff. But I think with the added dialogue and the sort of writing that Simpsons is known for, makes it a very enjoyable experience. So I think this game stands out above the rest because licensed games were very popular in the mid 2000s. And just about every property had a bad licensed video game attached to it. The Simpsons surely did at one point. I never played it, but countless Simpsons games that just aren't remembered. And it was kind of hard to tell what was actually good. And I think the fact that this game was just kind of lowercase g good, as I like to say, made it seem like it was more impressive than it probably was. A solid game mixed with a great IP is a really great combo. I think this game proves it. Kind of was just a great, fun game mixed with the things that were already great about The Simpsons, and that made the game a lot better. I also think this game sort of introduced a lot of people to The Simpsons who weren't familiar with The Simpsons, and by the time it came out in 2003, it was already a decades-old franchise that had a bunch of different generations who had their own unique attachments to it. And I think a lot of people in our generation were kind of introduced to The Simpsons through Hit and Run. And at least I was, and I'm sure a lot of other people were. I don't know if you're like me, but I wasn't allowed to watch the show as a kid. But for some weird reason, I could play the video game. I don't know why, but I was allowed to. And it kind of opened me up to the excellent writing of the show and just sort of the characters, and sort of introduced me to The Simpsons, which I think is an American staple at this point. And I also think this game has a big lasting appeal. It's still remembered by a lot of fans today, even though it was kind of this basic game, but it was just so much fun. People have called for a remake, like the recent Spongebob one. I think people are getting very excited about the possibility of one. And it's also a game that, despite its simplicity, remains top of mind when people sort of reminisce about that generation of games, be it on the PS2 or GameCube, Xbox, that sort of thing. And hopefully one day we'll get a remake or a decent port at least to replay it. And this image here is from a fan remake of the game, which is really impressive. So final thoughts here. I don't think it's a perfect game by any means, but I think it's a goatee in the sense that people really love this game at the time and still look back on it very fondly. It's one of those surprisingly good licensed game of the early 2000s, and I think it should be recognized for its fun gameplay, witty humor, and respect for a beloved franchise. And that is it for my presentation.
Woo!
Very
Nice
nice.
job.
Thank you. I opted for a fun one this time.
Oh yeah.
Any questions?
You weren't allowed. What other shows were you not allowed to watch back then, if I might ask, real quick?
It was only The Simpsons.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Cool.
Like, even Family Guy I could watch. Simpsons.
That's weird.
I know, it made no sense.
Yeah, that's more crude.
You're preaching to the choir.
No, of course.
But like, I don't know why. I think maybe because it was so popular. There were like some kids I knew who weren't allowed to watch it, even though it was like very tame compared to like Family Guy or like South Park and all that. So I don't know, it was weird.
We weren't allowed to watch Ed, Edd and Eddy. Yeah.
I have a question for you, Jack.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of mentioned this in your presentation, but if you tried to strip away the IP, tried to strip away The Simpsons, would this be as good of a game in your mind? And follow-up question to that, does it even really matter?
I would say no and no, because I think a lot of the charm about this game is because of the power of the license and all of the writing and all the characterizations that were fostered through the TV show and just sort of exist very well in the video game. But yeah, at its core, it's very much a very simple, you jump, you kick, you drive around, you do kind of repetitive missions here and there. But I think sort of what ties it all together, the glue of this game, is the writing of it, and just the respect it has for The Simpsons in general. It's definitely very simple. I wouldn't say it's boring, but I think you're right. If it wasn't a Simpsons game, I don't think a lot of people would be talking about it, but I think it was the perfect marriage of fun yet simple game mixed with the great humor and smart of The Simpsons. So, no, yeah, I don't think if this was not a Simpsons game, it would not be remembered. And I think it's important that this was a Simpsons game. So, yes.
I mean, I have to say I do like this game a lot personally. Just saying it. So
Yeah.
that's coming from a place of love. You know?
Oh yeah.
Jack, for a game that is almost entirely a Grand Theft Auto clone, do you think it deserves to get in before a Grand Theft Auto game?
That's an excellent question. It is definitely a Grand Theft Auto clone, similar to like Jack 2, which I really love. That's a good question. I would say for our list, I typically view it as something that's, like I said earlier, like a little personal.
Mhm.
And I don't know if I think GTA 4 is maybe the Grand Theft Auto game that I have personal attachment to. But me personally, I would rather see this game enter before GTA. First, I think it'd be really funny. Second, I have a lot of attachment to this game, and I think maybe some other members of the panel have probably played it and really enjoyed it at the time.
Mhm.
So I think, despite this being a clone, like for example, Apex Legends is a PUBG clone, but that made it on the list.
Sure.
Yeah, something like that. So I think there's certainly a case to be made for games that are clones of other games to make it on before the originator.
I'd also like to add, I think this game holds up way better than going back to those old GTA games at this point. Like, those ones are hard to play at this point, but I played a little bit of this maybe a couple months ago, and yeah, the production values and graphics, honestly, and the controls, it feels so much better. It looks great, to be honest. Like
that, I really want to go back and play this because I feel like it might be one of those situations where it's like, oh man, can't play this anymore. But like I did that with Spider-Man 2 on the PS2 recently.
Yeah,
can't play that game anymore. But yeah, I think it comes down to this game being very simple, and there's probably a lot more going on in the older Grand Theft Auto games. So yeah, maybe that's it.
Is one character better to play than the other, or are they all the same character, like mechanically? What do you think?
I'm pretty sure they're all the same. I don't think anyone has like a different attribute or anything. I would say when it comes down to like replay value and like where do you want to go, it comes down to like the characters that you like who has the best quips. I always like playing as Bart. Or Homer's good too. And yeah, and it comes down to their area too. Like Bart has like the city area, Homer and Marge have like the residential area. Lisa has like the beachside area. Apu also has the city area. So yeah, I think everyone plays exactly the same. I think maybe they have different jumping animations, but that's probably it.
Okay.
Could you list every playable character that you can remember from this game?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do it in order. I know Homer's first, and then it's Bart, and then it's Lisa, and then I think it's Marge, and then Apu, and then I think it goes back to Homer.
Okay.
I think that's it.
That's funny they put Apu in there.
Yeah, and then there's like each character has their own like unique vehicle, and then there's like a whole bunch of vehicles you can buy from like the shop, or like if you go to like a phone booth, you can like shop there and get like some of the famous cars from the TV show. Mr. Plow, for example.
Whoa.
Good unlockables then, you think?
There are some good ones. There's some like secret cars you could find, which I always thought were fun, like a rocket car with a flames coming out of the back and all that. I'm trying to remember some cheats for the game because this is definitely in the era of cheats. If you went to Scholastic Book Fair and found the cheats, the cheat code book that I always get every year.
Staple.
Yeah, I don't know.
The Bible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. I can't think of any at the top of my head, but I'm sure there were some.
Did it have a big head mode?
I don't know. I don't really remember. It might have. I'm not sure.
I guess last thing I can think of, since a lot of what you talked about was the license thing, do you think this is the best Simpsons game?
I do. I'm thinking of like Simpsons Road Rage, which was fine, but I kind of got frustrated with after a while. It's very repetitive. And this game it can be too, but I think Road Rage is especially repetitive, which was, I think, a clone of Taxi.
I think it was Crazy Taxi.
Crazy Taxi, that's what it was. So that was very repetitive. And then there's a bunch of other games that I think maybe I tried out here and there, but none really stuck as much as Hit and Run. So I think Hit and Run's probably the best. Certainly the most remembered, I would say.
Sure.
Tapped Out.
Was that the mobile one?
Yeah, it's like the cash cow, like pay money for this game to work sort of game.
Right. I remember hearing about that.
Yeah.
Is it like Hit and Run, or is it more like Road Rage?
No, you build you basically build Springfield.
It's one of those. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's like a city. It's like a city builder, but Simpsons themed. I played it a lot and I enjoyed it, but it's very much like, hey, give us money for this. It's EA developed, so there you go.
Gotcha.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Gotcha, indeed.
Unintentional. All right. Any other questions, or are we good to move on to the next presentation?
Did you get to see the movie in theaters, Jack, or were you not allowed to?
I did. That's a great update. I did. I was allowed to see the theater. Don't know why. And after that, still wasn't allowed to watch the TV show.
That's crazy.
I know. It
The
makes
TV
no
show
sense.
game.
It is. That's the very upsetting thing. It's has like smart humor, and it's not very like vulgar compared to some of the other TV shows that are out there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Made no
Did
sense.
you go with your parents?
Yeah, I did.
What did they like try and cover our eyes during the Bart Simpson skateboarding scene, or what?
No.
Too fast.
That was excellent, though. That was a great joke.
All right. Well, great job, Jack.
Thank you.
Okay. The wheel is spinning once again. And the next presentation will be me. All right. I do have a couple notes written down just to make sure I hit everything, but cool. All right. So in the choosing of my entry for this one, I looked at the lineup we have that we ran through earlier, and we got a lot of really great games made by Western developers. But I think we are sorely missing good Japanese games, specifically Japanese RPGs. We do have a Mario game, we do have Wii Sports, and that's it. Out of the 8, we only have 2 Japanese developed games. JRPGs, huge fan of the genre. And I chose a game that I think is very representative of the genre. It's very near and dear to my heart. Just recently had an anniversary. Of course, I'm talking about Pokemon Red and Blue for the Game Boy. The thing that started it all. And the thing I want to present with Pokemon Red and Blue and why I think it's so great is because it's very impressive for the time. Game from 1996, but it is essentially an open world game. Like, I, for a long time, was confused when people were like, oh, I want an open world Pokemon game. What they meant was they wanted a 3D open world Pokemon game. Because very early on in Pokemon Red and Blue, you're given the tools as a player to kind of explore anywhere you want. The scope of the game is massive for being on a Game Boy cartridge. There are over 8 different towns and routes connecting them all and dungeons in between. And I think the best way to represent how nuts it is that this game, that is an 11 megabyte game, is impressive to this day is that it offers you so many choices. Like, first off, yeah, you start with red or blue. Which one are you buying in on? And they're the same game. It's just there's a couple version differences in terms of the party members you could get. So that is your first choice. Follow it up. Name your character. Name your rival. I think that's neat. And when you start the game, you choose your partner. You choose who you want to go on this adventure, this coming of age 30-hour adventure with. You get Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Charmander. And then from there, you get like the Detroit Become Human with spider web of choices because there are 150 Pokemon in this game. And you have 6 slots on your team to fill. I did not do the math. I forget how to do like compounding variables or whatever that would be. But there's at least, I can say confidently, at least 200 unique teams of Pokemon you can gather and grow for your playthrough to have it be a unique thing. Again, 11 megabytes, 1996 on the chunky Game Boy. That is impressive to me. In terms of why not a future game, because I think that question will come up, Pokemon Red and Blue was the first one, and it got so much right. And I think future entries iterate on it for sure. Gold, Silver, Crystal are fan favorites. They followed up Red and Blue. But I think Gold, Silver, and Crystal complicate things and are overshadowed significantly by the strengths of the first generation of Pokemon. But like, there's no special attack stat. There's no EVs or IVs in Red and Blue. There's no breeding. Like, all of this is just you go out into the world, you're doing an adventure. You're making your choices to grow your team. I think it's a game that holds up. I know for a fact you can still play this for the first time in the year 2019 and probably 2022 as a beginner and have a good time with it. Yeah, and I think obviously it's the highest grossing media franchise ever, and that's because of the strength of this first outing. You know, this merchandise is the show, but Pokemon Red and Blue is a great game. It still is. People call it baby's first RPG. Maybe that's fitting that it's the first JRPG to get introduced to the Hall of Game. But I truly think, especially going back to it, Pokemon can be very hard, the first game. Whether that's through design or balancing, TBD. But the game provides you with so many options to work around those things, and I think it is the most representative Pokemon game. That's the thing I'll leave off on. Name me another JRPG that has as many party members, even half as many, that are as iconic as the original 150 Pokemon. You cannot, because it is just such a unique idea. And even the Pokemon Company, I think, has failed at times to make designs that are as good as the ones here, and fans certainly cannot. So, Pokemon Red and Blue, great game. That's my pick. Thank you.
Great choice.
Thank you. Questions?
I'd like to ask a question.
Sure thing.
All right. What if instead of 150 cute, I guess, iconic Pokemon, it was like 150 evil demons? And
you're talking about Persona?
Shin Megami Tensei and Persona, yeah.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I love Persona 5. I love the monster designs of that game, right? But I can tell you, like, Jack Frost, Secunda.
Maya.
Which one's Maya? I don't know who Maya is.
She's the penis demon.
Okay.
Can't get more iconic than that, Christian.
Sure. But
or Beelzebub.
Which one is that?
I don't really know, but he's like a big demon devil, right?
Yeah, and like there's the one on the toilet, but like I can...
Yeah, Baphomet.
Sure. I think the designs in the SMT series are really cool, and I like a lot of them, but like Gengar clears all of them, right? Like even something as stupid as Executor, like it's a short palm tree with coconuts, and each coconut has a face. Like that thing, there's merch of that thing everywhere, you know? And I don't think as good as other JRPGs are with the strength of design for monsters and stuff. I think the original Pokemon are kind of untouchable. Like there's some that are straight up just animals, but I think even like Pidgey, I think is still an iconic design. Not even just for me. I think a lot of people would just be like, "Oh yeah, that's that Pokemon. I know that thing." So
true. I don't think you could tell Shin Megami Tensei demons from like silhouettes either, or anything like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to, and by name either. Like the Pokemon, maybe the Pokemon rap is because of the reason people can remember things, but like I played 120 hours of Persona 5, and I can only remember like one of the ones you mentioned by name, at least.
All right, I'll rest my case then.
Okay.
Christian, what is your preferred starter in this game?
Good question. I think it depends on the mood I'm in, right? Because talking about choices, I think that choice is impactful. Like every choice you make in this game has meaning behind it. Because like Bulbasaur, you pick Bulbasaur, you can breeze through the first two gyms easy, right? Due to type advantage. Squirtle, you'll breeze through Brock, but if you face Misty with just a beefy Squirtle, you're in trouble because water against water, you're out of luck. Charmander, who growing up was always my go-to, and still probably is my favorite because I love Charizard. You have a huge mountain to climb against Brock. Like you have to grind to maybe level 20 to stand a chance against Brock if you choose Charmander. And then Misty, you're at a huge disadvantage because she has type advantage over you. With Brock, it's just you're not that effective. With Misty, it's like she owns you. So that's another layer, I think. But I typically bounce between Charmander or Bulbasaur for playthroughs.
And I guess my other question would be, I feel like sequels a lot of time are for video games typically tend to be better than the original. And I think that might be the case for this series, but I think a lot of people remember number one a lot for Pokemon. Do you think that's nostalgia, or do you think people just actually actively enjoy like the loop of this game a lot more than the sequels?
I would say it's both. Like, it's inarguable that people are like, they're nostalgic for Gen 1. Gen 1ers are people who think like this is the peak, it's never been better. And I think future Pokemon games have absolutely like streamlined things and made things more convenient. But Red and Blue, I do think there is something to say about the loop, right? Because it established what Pokemon is in this first game, and they followed that until 2016. So 20 years. And even then, like, Sun and Moon still had 8 things you had to do, and then an ending. Like, they weren't gyms, but they were essentially markers like gyms are. So, realistically, they didn't shake it up until Arceus. So that was this year. That was, 25 years, 26 years later. So I think the formula works, and people like the formula, clearly. And while maybe balance feels more fair in future entries, I do think that Pokemon Red and Blue just is iconic in a way that it can still be appreciated, even if future entries did certain things better.
Is the new one this year not this kind of structure too? Is it more Arceus?
So it's up in the air right now. I don't know if we have a locked. You're talking about Scarlet and Violet this year?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure. I think it's implied that they're going back to gyms, but it's going to have an open world component to it, which again, they're going back to what these games did with Red and Blue. Red and Blue had no seams. It was like you go from the route to the town, and Scarlet and Violet claiming open world for the 3D space is doing no seams, where in 1996, there weren't seams. What you saw was what you got. It wasn't super detailed, but it is a similar structure, I think. So maybe think the way that Breath of the Wild went for OG Zelda, I guess, for structure. Maybe there's something similar.
That'd be cool.
I hope. Other questions?
How's the soundtrack?
Soundtrack is killer, Omar. I was going to have a track pulled up on my phone playing while I gave my speech, but I don't have access to my phone right now, so I was not able to. But yeah, the music is incredible. The music for Red and Blue and the Game Boy overall, I think, is kind of underrated. Like, it is all chiptune-y, but man, it sounds good. It sounds clean when you listen to every track in this game. And I think a highlight for those curious, if you want an example of it, is I think like the Elite Four, or like the Champion soundtrack. Look it up on YouTube tonight. It's so good, and it sounds so layered for Game Boy. Like, it's really impressive. All the music I love.
Who was
town theme? Oh, sorry.
Oh no, sorry, Omar.
No, you. Yeah, Mike.
What was it? Who'd you main? Who was in your squads most of the time?
Ooh, okay. So growing up, when I played Red a lot, when I replayed Fire Red, love a Charmander to Charizard. Arcanine, I think, is one of the coolest Pokemon ever. Always go Raichu. Nidoking, big fan of Nidoking. When I did Let's Go, which was a remake of this also, I did I think I did an Executor, and I was surprised at how much I liked that. Oh, and of course, Slowpoke. Slowpoke is like my favorite Pokemon ever, so he's always on the team.
Nice.
Any further questions?
It's an excellent game. Great choice.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you.
I'm very biased in this.
Yes.
I have another question.
Sure.
I know you said it's the first one, but all right. What about yellow? Like, is that better than this one or no?
I don't
I
think
understand
so.
your argument. Okay.
Mhm.
I was
I
gonna
don't
say I
think-
understand the
yeah,
idea of bringing
sorry,
the
go ahead.
first game in the series,
Mhm.
but yellow was like kind of like very similar, right? But just in color with some other stuff. I don't know.
So from memory, because I played Yellow as a kid also, Yellow, the main differences are that story is different because it adapts the anime. Like Jesse and James are the Team Rocket grunt that you face over and over. Like they just keep popping up. Your character looks like Ash. Your starter Pokemon is Pikachu. You can get all three, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Charmander, like Ash does in the show. And I think that's cool. I really like that about Yellow. And I'm glad Yellow exists because it's really the only Pokemon game out of the mainline ones that's weird like that. But I think similar to Gold, Silver, and Crystal complicating things, I think Yellow takes away from the really simple choice-based elements of Red and Blue, from like a player's perspective, for the sake of being able to live Ash Ketchum's journey in a game.
Got ya.
I'm glad Kevin was not here for this one because I think he would have made a fuss about red and blue being two things.
Oh.
I was worried about that.
Actually, that's a great point. You got to pick now, Christian.
Yeah, what? Do you like red or blue?
They're literally the same game.
You gotta make a choice.
What did you play as a kid?
I had red. My brother had blue. I had red. So
I'm a blue guy.
yeah, but I think that's the other thing too. Like they're the same game because yes, the game exists because they were like, hey, yeah, we want to make the most money we can, so there's two of them. But in the 90s, pre-internet, like, and even as a kid playing this in like the early 2000s on my Game Boy, having a link cable, being able to talk to people about it, like in person in the neighborhood, say like, oh, did you hear about how you can get Mew? You have to do this weird thing, and like trading Pokemon, and suddenly it evolves because you trade it. Like it's a social game in a way that I think it's a weird thing. Like the division of the two versions is part of the same experience. Like no matter how you cut it, I think. But yeah, red for the win.
Cool.
It's a great choice. I didn't see you bringing this up anytime soon, so I'm glad you did.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I wanted to bring this one for a couple, I think, but starting a new year, we have no JRPGs. I felt like it was time.
That's solid.
An iconic group of games for sure.
Yes, absolutely. I will spin the wheel, and we will figure out who's next. Out of the two, Mike Connors, you're next.
Oh yeah. All right. So I'm still having issues with the sharing my screen thing, Christian. If you could help me, is that possible?
I think it might be. I just need a quick second to see if my computer will break. So
I could always share it on my end.
I mean,
would that be easier?
yeah, I could share.
That would also work and probably be more effective because it worked for Jack. So
okay, yeah, Mike,
All right.
you get that to me however you can. What do you got, Google Slides situation?
It's a Google Slide situation. Yeah. Do you want to write in the Discord your email, Jeff?
Yep. Mm-hmm. I get a little preview of this before everyone else.
Yeah, you do.
mm-hmm.
Like I said, it's only 3 slides. I don't have much to say about this game. but it's one that means a lot to me. So whenever I'm ready to go, just someone let me know, please.
Okay, I've received it. I have it. Try not to look. Trying
Okay.
not to look. I'm tempted. All right, I'm sharing the screen.
Okay.
Can you all see that?
I just need a quick second to pull it up for the stream.
Oh yeah,
So, Mike, you can see that okay?
I can see that. Great, thank you, Jack.
Okay, and I believe Christian is pulling it up.
Yes, just take a second. What I love also so far is, like Jack, you were saying earlier, like a lot of the pics are personal, right? Just seeing on the graphic the original Pokemon games and Simpsons Hit and Run, that's a lovely lineup already.
It's pretty fantastic.
Oh yeah.
I'm always interested to see what Mike brings.
Yeah,
Mike
dude.
and I align.
That's
Very similar.
That's true. I'm always excited just to see what everybody brings.
Oh yeah.
Because like some of them are definitely not conventional for sure, but are personal to us, and I think that's fun to sort of like probe that.
It's giving me a problem with the pop-out thing, so I just have to pull up a capture for over Discord, and then we'll be good.
All good.
Jack, were you spoiled?
No, I was successfully unspoiled.
Ooh.
I
Okay.
have only seen the first slide, which I'm currently
That's fine.
looking at, so
That's fine. Everybody's seen that.
Yep.
I'm like so curious, to be honest, because if this is a racing game, I feel like these are the only 4 racing games I know.
I might not. I might have an inkling.
Oh, does it have to do with Batman?
An inkling.
Oh,
It has to do with Star Wars.
I think everything is all good over here, so whenever you're prepared, you can get rolling.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for coming to my TED Talk, everybody. I'm going to start my presentation off with this first slide here. Just want everybody to take this in really quick. Ever since the beginning of video games, it seems, we've always had some sort of racing game. Bottom left, you can see pole position. We got Need for Speed Heat, Forza Motorsport, Gran Turismo, all the legendary series that we've come to know and love when it comes to racing games. Next slide, please. But there is one racing game that, in my opinion, stands above the rest. Next slide. Burnout Revenge. Burnout, as far as I know, because I haven't really played many racing games recently outside of Forza, hasn't really been in the mainstream for a while now. But this is a game that I believe came out in like 2007 or like 2006, maybe even earlier than that, in which it was just purely racing and all that kind of stuff. It's great. Really quickly, I just want to talk about how I started to get into this game. I have a very vivid memory of being in Best Buy when I was young, and they had like a demo disc of this, and I played the absolute crap out of that. And I'm pretty sure like the disc stopped working at a certain point because I played it so much that I ended up just getting the actual game. Go figure. Very, very a memory that will always be with me for sure. I don't have any more slides, but I've written down some notes about this game. Overall, I think the main takeaway for this game, for me, is that this is a perfect marriage of combat and speed. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, Mike, this is a racing game. How is there combat in a racing game? I'll tell you, it has a very interesting and very well fleshed out sort of mechanic called takedowns, where you basically can take down opponents while you're racing them by crashing them into like jersey barriers and walls and stuff like that. It's very cinematic. It's very like cartoonish, but it's really fun. I don't think it was the first game to have this kind of mechanic. I think that was Burnout Takedown, which was right before this, but it really improved on that and sort of made it more of like an integral part to the game, because every single time you take somebody down, you get more nitro, which makes you go extra fast and all that kind of stuff. Classic racing game sort of formula here. There are so many cool, unique, but fake cars. I don't think any of the cars in this game are actually real, which is kind of like, a bummer, but like in the same way, like they just go super cartoonish with just like the cars and stuff like that. And yeah, there's a lot of interesting things there for sure. Races would take place during simulated traffic, which basically meant you could bump like NPCs out of the way from behind extremely violently, which kind of just like gave it like this sort of sandbox feel to the whole game. Something that I thought really lent itself well to the just craziness of the game and everything like that. I already talked about the takedown system, but they also had a bunch of cool modes like elimination, where you would race against your opponents and try to take them down. And if you were like the last one standing, you basically won. And also crash, which was my favorite, where you would basically literally launch your car off a ramp into oncoming traffic and try to destroy as many others around you as you can. And this goes back to the car thing, which is pretty interesting because you could buy different cars that had like extra crash ability that could like explode after you crash it and all that kind of stuff. So like I said, very sandboxy, very cartoonish. Overall, the game just kind of meant a lot to me as a kid. And I think, looking back on it, it's not the most challenging racing game ever. I think like if you look at Forza Motorsport or Gran Turismo, those are definitely more skill-based. But this just was very cartoonish. It didn't really take itself that seriously. It had a great soundtrack, and just was silly and like an arcade game in a way. And yeah, it has a warm place in my heart for sure. So I think that's about all I have for Burnout Revenge. But thank you for listening, everybody.
An excellent choice.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
Seriously awesome.
I remember
Thank
people
you.
loved that game, and people are very fond of that game.
Yes. I mean, I'm definitely one of them. It's stuck with me for a while now. Any questions?
Yeah. Mike, I adore Burnout Paradise. It is the only
Okay.
Burnout game I have played. But I think Paradise came out after this. So is this like the last Burnout game that you've had experience with? If so, do you think that it's like a definitive point for the series?
So I actually have played a little bit of Burnout Paradise, and that game is extremely different from Burnout Revenge in the sense that game is sort of open world, and this one is very much just like race based, kind of like Grand Prix style, you against NPCs and the computer and all that kind of stuff. I think those two games are just extremely different when you look at them like side by side.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you're talking about Burnout in like the classic sort of arcade style, like just like versus racing game, I think that is its peak. I think Burnout Revenge is its peak when you're talking about that. I think it definitely does more interesting stuff in the open world game. And I think without Burnout Paradise, I don't know if we'd ever really have like Forza Horizon and stuff like that, which are great games. But if you're talking about just like the classic sort of idea of racing games, I think Burnout Revenge is S tier, as they would say.
All right.
What was it about the I guess like crashing mechanics that was so different and fun? It seemed. I never played it, but that always seemed to be like the sort of mechanic of the game that made it different from some of the other racing games out there. And for the record, I thought you were going to bring up Star Wars Phantom Menace Racing. That's what I thought you were bringing up.
Oh yeah, like the pod racing game. Yeah. No, I've actually played that game too, and I love that game. But no, for me, I think the crashing was just an interesting mechanic to add to the game on two fronts. First, just during like the regular racing, the fact that you can take people down, and it was just like super cinematic and very just like over the top. I think that was just a cool addition to the game. And how it gave you like extra boost while you were driving actually made it worthwhile for you to like want to accomplish that. But I also think the whole crash mechanic in the mini game is actually very interesting too, because you could sort of like control your car after you've like made impact, and then there was like an interesting sort of self detonation button that you can choose at a certain point to like inflict more damage. Overall, I just think that they were really able to sort of like marry that like violent combat with like racing and like cars in a very interesting way that I'm not really sure I've seen done ever since then in that same way. I don't know if that really answers the question, but
yeah, totally.
Was the soundtrack any interesting? Any bangers, iconic things that have been ingrained into your brain?
Ingrained into my brain, I can't say. I just remember liking it a lot. I can really honestly leave it at that.
Okay.
If you were to ask me like exactly what artists and songs were on it, I don't think I could tell you. I could look it up right now, but like I just remember it fit the game, it fit the vibe very well. And it's something that sticks out to me without like having without something specific actually sticking out to me, if that makes any sense.
No, that's fair. I have more experience with Paradise in this one, but like for that one, I think there's that Guns N' Roses tracks, and then I think there's that Avril Lavigne song that have stuck with me. I don't know. I was kind of just curious if there was
Totally,
something.
man.
Mike, I feel like racing games are always graphical showpieces. Do you think this is a good looking game?
I honestly, yeah, I would say that I do think that this is a good looking game for its time. I definitely think that if you were to like stack it up next to like Forza 7, like it's not gonna look great.
Sure.
But like but for the time, I think it was very impressive. And just the fact that like when I played it on the Xbox, I don't really remember coming into like that many performance issues. And for a game that like looked as good as it did back then, with as many things going on screen as this game can be, because it gets pretty chaotic at some points, and have it performing that well all the time. Yeah, I think it's for its time. I think it was it was ahead of the game in terms of the visual department.
Do you have any fun multiplayer memories?
Honestly, I think this was pre the time that I had multiplayer.
Okay.
Like online multiplayer. I have very fond memories playing this with like honestly my family. My mom really liked this game.
That's awesome.
And so I would play it a lot with her. And then I would also just like play it with friends and stuff. But yeah, it was just a fun game all around. Something you can play solo and something you can play with other people for sure.
Nice, very cool.
Any other questions?
There's a
was this-
Goldfinger song in this. Sorry, I just found one of those. I keep looking.
There's a Goldfinger song. Okay, cool.
Yeah, apparently.
I honestly, yeah, I like I said, I can't recall exactly what was on the soundtrack, but yeah.
Was this a 360 game, or was it earlier?
I believe it was a 360 game.
Okay.
It totally is. I think it was in that 2005 period before PS3 or something.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I think this was an Xbox game, to be honest. I think this is like an OG Xbox game.
Yeah, I looked up images and I see a PS2 box. I see an Xbox 360 box that says Xbox Classics, and then a normal version. I don't know if that's like a cross-gen game or what.
Probably straddled the generations there.
Yeah, probably.
All right, it came out in 2005. I remember getting it in 2005, so it must have gotten on the Xbox original. Yeah.
Do you feel it's okay to put another EA game in?
I think maybe this was before EA was as soul sucking as they are now.
Yeah, I'm totally kidding.
Is that a fair enough answer?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Oh, yeah, great job, team.
Yeah, great choice.
That was a cool pick. I think it's backwards compatible on the current gen. I'm not sure if it is, but you could still buy it on the store at least.
That's
You
nice.
can buy it on the Xbox store. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, great job, Mike. Last but not least, I will spin the wheel if you would like me to, Omar.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Okay, Omar,
it's my
let's hear what you got.
Yeah, I didn't bring a PowerPoint. Should I just start going?
Sure. Do you want me to give you a time notification or anything, or do you just want to roll?
Yeah, we can just roll. I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna go over a minute. To be honest, I'll try my best. All right. Hello. I have brought Dark Souls to the panel tonight. The first Dark Souls game. I'm in this tunnel right now. I kind of really got into this series, the whole From Software thing, back in January. I've always dabbled with those games over the years since Demon's Souls, honestly, on the PS3. I could never understand them. I would play 10 or 15 hours, have my quote unquote fun, and then just ditch it. Gets too hard, just dump it. Don't understand that anymore. Not gonna play it. But for some reason, I was feeling the Elden Ring hype this year, back in January, and I thought I would give Dark Souls 1 another spin, because it wouldn't really make much sense for me to spend $60 on Elden Ring without ever finishing one of these games before, since I've had, this entire history of not being able to play them. But yeah, no, I got really sucked in, and it finally clicked for me in January, and I think this game is amazing. I feel like my relationship with video games has got a bit weird over the years. I don't really play and finish all that much these days. I don't know whether that's I have distaste for like current trends in the industry or something like that. I find myself gravitating more towards older games. But yeah, this one just really clicked, and I was like pulling. I streamed this on Twitch. I was playing like constantly 10-hour sessions. One time my record was 18 hours straight of just playing this game. It just really kind of hooked me. And I'm not even completely sure why in a lot of ways just yet, because I think I'm just really close to it. But I like to think it's because it is a challenge. I find that quite fun. I think the world design is always interesting and kind of honestly amazing, in the same way that I love Shadow of the Colossus or The Last Guardian. The way they make those worlds and the world of Dark Souls feels very realized, and I think I really just quite like the way the game doesn't tell you much, if anything. It's very much you just kind of stumbling around trying to figure out what to do, where to go, without any tutorials or anything like that. And it really just kind of absorbed me. And there's this interesting community aspect to it too that I think is why it's so much fun, honestly, is the fact that they don't tell you what to do in the game, so you have to go and ask your friends or hope people in the Twitch chat knows what's going on and stuff like that. It made it a more of an engrossing experience, I think, and kind of a lasting one, because everyone has these really deep and fond memories of figuring this stuff out, and it's kind of a joy to talk about it with, similar to how Christian was mentioning the Pokemon Red Blue communal experience. I think that's there with this one too. But speaking on the merits of the game itself, it's just a really well constructed series of enemies and bosses with some banger music and some really rewarding combat that just is so much fun to learn and engage with, I think. And it's got this variability stuff too, which I played the game wielding a great axe and no shield, just rolling around, learning bosses' invincibility frames and getting up close to maneuver through them. And it was pretty fun. But then I'll talk to someone else who did it with like a magic build or something and hear about them blasting enemies away from 8 feet away. I don't know. It's I kind of completely don't know how to talk about this, to be honest. I think this game is kind of weird, and I think I don't fully understand why it really clicked with me, but it just really did. And I think I honestly kind of felt really good about myself after finishing it too, to be honest. I was like, whoa, I played one of these. But yeah, after I did that was like 50 hours of Dark Souls 1 in like a few days. I then went and I've now beat Dark Souls 1, 2, Bloodborne, and Elden Ring with a good probably 250 hours amongst all of them. I haven't been obsessed with games like this ever, maybe since like 7th grade when I was addicted to Uncharted 2 multiplayer. Yeah. It's awesome. That's all I got.
Very nice.
As a solid pick.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah, Jack.
There's almost like a cult around these games, the FromSoft games. What is it about these types of games, specifically Dark Souls? Because I guess that's kind of the one that started it all, unless I'm wrong. That kind of make that community very kind of make it more of a community than I think a lot of game. Like I don't think of like Bethesda gamers being like in the same way of like FromSoft gamers, you know, like they have their own sort of community to them.
I think the From Software games has that community because I think they kind of invite that in with the way they don't tell you what the story is in those games, and they don't tell you exactly what to do and where to go in a lot of cases. So I think what happens is online communities kind of get formed over discussions like that, and that's where to really play one of these games, you have to kind of go in deep. And I think if you're that kind of person, you're gonna probably be kind of about it online. That's my guess. That's not to excuse people being assholes about it, which I didn't know if you were alluding to, but yeah,
No.
that you can definitely meet some annoying FromSoft guys, and hopefully I'm not one of those, but I can never know. But no, totally. I think it's the game has a really interesting view about like community, I think, with all the summoning and stuff you can do in game, and the way that's written into the lore. And I think I just assume part of the design philosophy is making these games these communal experiences. Like Elden Ring just came out. I think we've all seen people tweet about it way too much almost, but it's in a kind of a cool way where everyone's just excited to share what weird things they found or interesting findings. Because if it was like I don't know, I don't think people would tweet about like a cinematic story game in that same way, because with that everyone sees everything eventually, but with this one there's so much mystery and secrets around it that it's just kind of fun to talk about, I think. Thank you for the question.
Why Dark Souls over? And I know you haven't played like Sekiro or Souls 3 or anything like that, but I think out of the ones you have played, because of the fervor around them. Why Dark Souls over Bloodborne or Elden Ring?
I think. Well, to be honest, Dark Souls is my favorite one out of all of them that I've played, at least. But also, I think Dark Souls 1 is the moment. I think that's where they figured it out, their structure and everything, and I think that has honestly probably my favorite mix of bosses still, in terms of, I just got off Elden Ring. Some of those bosses, in my opinion, maybe got too hard. I think Dark Souls 1 is this moment where they're not sure exactly how hard to push it or how far they can go, and I think the challenge in this one is really nice. But I think I just kind of like the world the most in this one. I like the greens, the colors, the Anor Londo, the Firelink Shrine, all that stuff, and the soundtrack is very memorable and iconic to me. I think Dark Souls 1 is the coolest.
Sure, but doesn't Bed of Chaos suck?
I suppose so, but it's pretty awesome to just like blitz through it once you get there, if you're OP as I was at that point. So honestly, looking at Bed of Chaos from like the outside, I can see, okay, maybe they didn't have the budget here, sure. But when I was playing it, I was honestly more thrilled than anything.
Sure.
Any more questions?
Do you think genuinely the game's difficulty being so off-putting is a thing to take into account in inducting this game?
I don't know. See, and I'm sure everyone thinks this, but I really do think and believe I'm a shit gamer. I'm constantly doing awful on Call of Duty leaderboards and Halo leaderboards, and like frequently I will drop games because I just can't finish them. And to be honest with this one, I don't know if I didn't have this patience that I think I've built up now, maybe I wouldn't have beat any of these games, because I did find myself, I think the gargoyles took me like 4 hours in Dark Souls 1. And I had moments like that in all these games, but I really just enjoy the learning the boss over a few hours. So I think it's just really part of the appeal for me. What was the question? You said it was if it was off-putting or if that was a problem?
Yeah, if just like the reputation they have of being too difficult is like a detractor from being able to like celebrate or like put it on in this case, very specifically, induct it into a Hall of Fame.
Right. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people will say this, and I don't mean to be that guy, because they are challenging games, but I do think within the wide range of games being released today, you get harder ones that I think don't get the same amount of flack that these ones do. Like, I think Doom Eternal was kind of hard on normal. I don't know. I've had some issues with Call of Duty campaigns being frustrating. I think it's a challenging game. It's absolutely hard, but I don't know. I think it's overstated in a lot of cases. And I do think the community can be pretty welcoming towards it too, in terms of if you have a challenge, like no one's going to be like, okay, maybe in the past people will be like, get good. Maybe they still do that. I don't know. But if you find the right community and talk to some people, most of the Souls gamers I've met are super nice.
Favorite boss?
Favorite boss in Dark Souls 1?
Yeah.
Ooh, man, maybe it might be Manus. I think it's Manus.
Yeah, that DLC is pretty cool, right?
Yeah, DLC is amazing.
Yeah.
If it can't be the DLC, then I'll say honestly the gargoyles. But yeah, let's go Manus. Thank you for the questions.
Oh yeah, great job.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right. So now, as it goes, we will be doing the voting. I did do the math. I think if we do 1, 3, 5, it's still fine. Just if we would like to award each of the games a point value at least, we can do that. So The way it's going to work is we will go in the order of presentation. So that would be Jack, and then me, Mike, and then Omar to vote. They will each be highlighted in the voting process to talk through their votes. Everybody else will be headphones off, muted. And they will just talk to the camera or the microphone in this case to go through what they're voting for, their logic behind it. And for those voting, text or DM me. I will tally things up. We will return, and then the top 2 games get in. So to reiterate, we're doing a 1 vote, a 3 vote, and a 5 vote. We're still doing that because it should all work out just fine. So if we're ready, Jack, you will vote first, and we can all ditch the headphones, and you can have at it.
Sounds good. I'm ready.
All right. Headphones off, and whenever you're ready, Jack, go for it.
Sounds good. I always like these little discussions with the audience that only they can hear me. So I will start with my 1-point pick. Will be Dark Souls. I'm not an anti FromSoft guy. I don't think that's fair to say, but I'm not a big Dark Souls or Bloodborne or Elden Ring fan. I played Elden Ring for like 4 hours and I kind of ditched it because it was very obtuse and it didn't really sit very well with me. I know a lot of people have that. Those games very close in their hearts, but not too much for me. So that was the number 1. Although I think Omar gave a very good presentation, and it has me honestly. His presentation has me interested to check out some of the older ones. So number 1, the 1 point would be to Dark Souls, and the 3 point would be to Burnout. That game sounds really interesting to me, and I know a lot of people really being into that game in particular. And I think when people talk about that series a lot, they bring up that particular game. So I thought that was a great choice. And it definitely made me want to like either check it out or check out video of that game. Because I know a lot of people loved just messing around. And it seems like one of those great mess around games where you can just kind of go around and crash into a bunch of cars. So that sounds cool. And of course, no surprise, the 5-point spot is to Pokemon Red and Blue. Love those games. The first Pokemon games I ever played. And I think Christian made a really good point. And it's interesting to me that those are some of the games that people come back to in the Pokemon series. I know a lot of people like Crystal and things like that, but yeah, Red and Blue is probably the games I'll replay again. Might do a Fire Red game run through at some point or another. So those are my votes. I'm going to pass it off now. Thanks for listening.
Okay, hello. I am next up. I got Jack's votes in. Great presentations, great picks. I've known about these forever. Actually, that's not true. Mike told me his yesterday. But okay, a 1 to 3 to 5. I have mine figured out. Here's what we're doing. We got 1 point to the Simpsons Hit and Run, because that is a wonderful game. I really love the Simpsons Hit and Run. I grew up playing it like Jack. I was restricted on things I could watch as a child. My mom hated Spongebob. She likes it now, but as a kid, Spongebob was like, I don't like that he calls him an idiot. So the Simpsons was not even like close to being acceptable. But the Simpsons Hit and Run was my answer to GTA. I absolutely could not play Grand Theft Auto games. But The Simpsons, as a video game, was apparently acceptable, so I was able to play that instead of GTA. And it's a great, great game, genuinely, outside of the license. So, 1 point to The Simpsons Hit and Run. Great presentation. The 3 points is going to a game I've never played, Burnout Revenge. Mike continues the streak of doing killer presentations for games that I have no history with, but he makes me want to have history with them. I thought he did a great job, very passionate presentation about Burnout Revenge. Came from the heart, you could tell. And just on like the back end side of it, I was surprised because he told me this was his game like the other day, and he really gave a really great case for Burnout Revenge. So 3 points to Burnout and 5 points to Dark Souls Remastered. I started that game last October because I've also been a From Software fan for, I think, like 2 years now. I played Bloodborne and platinumed it, or I platinumed it recently, but I played Bloodborne at the beginning of the pandemic before it started. And since then, I've gone through a bunch of them. My favorite is Sekiro, but Dark Souls Remastered, or Dark Souls in general, is an incredibly good game. The more I think about it, the more I think it's probably the best one. So, and I was there for Omar's streams. I was there for a few of them. It's very clear he loves that game, and I thought he presented it well. He made a good case for the effect it had on him. So, yeah. It's also, out of the bunch, my favorite game here. That's not Pokemon, because I can't vote for my own. So, yeah, Dark Souls 5, Burnout 3, and Simpsons 1. So, I will queue up, I think, Mike next.
All right, y'all. Great presentations from everybody today. Loved all the games that were picked. Of course, as always, if I could give 5 points to my game, I would. No, I'm just kidding. I was thinking about it. Everybody had a great presentation. I have to say, though, it may be nostalgia on my part, but the Simpsons Hit and Run, Jack's game is definitely one that I have a lot of connection to personally, and I think he had a really good presentation. So I'm going to give that one 5 points. Next, I think Pokemon. It's hard to understate the just the impact that game has had, just in general. So that's definitely going to be my 3 points. And Omar, of course, had a great presentation about Dark Souls. Obviously, very impassioned about it. I liked his story about not really liking it and then turning into somebody who really enjoyed it. And yeah, I guess it's also hard to sort of not give the respect that those FromSoft games deserve. So I'm going to give that one 1 point. So yeah, 5 points to Simpsons Hit and Run, 3 points to Pokemon, 1 point to Dark Souls.
Hello. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Hey, testing. Let me send Christian my numbers. All right. So, let me go. Let's go through this. I gave 5 points to Burnout Revenge. I played Burnout, honestly. So I love Burnout Paradise. Burnout Revenge, I didn't put too much time in, aside from I played a bit of it, but I do love that style of Burnout, and I think it's worth rewarding alongside eventually Paradise someday, because I do love that game too. But that kind of closed circuit Burnout racing where you slam into cars, always seeing some cool stuff, I think is pretty important. It was really perfected. The road rage style was perfected in those games, and then Paradise kind of lost a bit of that. So I think Revenge or Dominator, I don't know which one I played on my PSP. Legends, I think it was Burnout Legends I played a lot on my PSP. Yeah, that's an absolute classic, and I think if Revenge is the best one of these, then it should totally be on the list. Then I give 3 points to Pokemon Red, Blue. I like Pokemon. I'm not perfect. No, I'm just saying Pokemon's great. And yeah, always being a bit of a shit, telling Christian, well, why not Shin Megami Tensei or Persona? But yeah, it is this one. This is the Pokemon game. This is the Pokemon game to bring too. Shout outs to Christian for bringing Pokemon Red and Blue. If there was one to be on this list, it's this one. This is that moment for that series, and they never made a different game. It's incredible how all of it was there in whenever it was 96 or something. I don't know. Third point goes to Simpsons Hit and Run. That's a crazy pick from Jack. I never played much of this. I played a bit recently, just fucking around with my GameCube. Seemed cool. I don't know. Jack had a great presentation. I like The Simpsons a lot, to be honest. I mean to rewatch it, but I almost feel like prudish. I feel like we cannot put this game on this list, and that's why I've given it the 1 point. But we totally could, and I think it'd be funny and it'd be awesome if it was. So I'm not really that serious about it, but I don't know. I guess that's how I'm feeling. I'd be happy if it was on the list. Yeah, that's that. Let me turn it over.
Yep.
What's up, Mike?
Okay. All votes are in. I just got to do some math, so
All right.
talk amongst yourselves.
We need the Jeopardy, 30 seconds music. No, I'm just kidding.
Should I tag Jack? He probably just.
He probably stepped away for a sec. It's fine.
All right.
I'm just making sure I got all these accounted for.
Okay. Alrighty. Mike, did you ever have a PSP?
Yeah, I did actually.
Cool.
That was pretty cool, to be honest. You could watch movies on it and stuff if you had
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember thinking all right, great. I don't need an iPod now when I got mine, but
Yeah,
you
true.
can't bring that to school or have it in your pocket, I guess.
I feel like it was kind of ahead of its time. I don't know.
Oh, totally. It was kind of crazy looking back on it, honestly. I think I bring it up only because I think that's where I had most of my Burnout experience was Legends, I believe, on the PSP, which was a pretty cool port.
Yeah, I think I might have had that. I had
Yeah.
a Monster Hunter game on that. I'm pretty sure.
On PSP?
I think so.
That's awesome.
I'm pretty sure. I may be wrong though. I'm pretty sure.
They should make a new Vita.
Mhm.
Imagine a PlayStation hybrid system.
Like a Switch kind of thing?
Yeah, like a Switch.
I would love that. Maybe we can put the PS4 power in a handheld or tablet soon, and then we can dock it.
Yeah, or if the Series S was a Switch competitor, and it was all digital, and you could dock it, but also take it on the go.
That'd be amazing.
Xbox
with Game Pass.
Yeah, dude. Xbox would corner the market.
Dude. Finally, the Xbox portable. The X-Boy.
Oh, we want the X-Boy.
Yeah, we do.
They were shopping the X-Boy for a little bit.
Were they really?
Yeah.
Do you remember were they asking people hey, would you develop games for, or were they trying to get someone to make it for them?
I think I had to write about it at some point or another. They were working I think just internally and being yo, is this thing gonna work? And then they were like, nah, we can't do that.
Okay, just one more sec, making sure these are good.
I saw someone that put a screen on an Xbox Series S the same way they had those PS1 screen kind of things.
Oh yeah,
it looked pretty cool.
Yeah, it's $250, I think, for that thing.
Screen?
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, damn, that's really cool. Okay. I have verified, I have double checked, I made sure I did not screw anything up, and I have the results. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's hear it.
So I think this happened last time. There was 4 of us also. The votes split to the first 2 entries, the 2 that got in got the same score, and the 3rd and 4th places got the same score as well. So it was 2 7s and 2 11s. So I'll go random order for the 2 that got out. Not making it in, 7 votes to 11. We have, where is it? The Simpsons Hit and Run. Better look next time.
A valiant attempt.
It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will reveal another entry that got in, just so the stakes. Or the first one to get in. 11 votes. The first of 2022. Pokemon Red and Blue. Made it into the Hall game.
That's our first JRPG.
Hell yeah, only one we need.
Got what you wanted,
Well
Christian.
deserved.
Thank you. So for the second entry for the first induction of 2022, it is down to Dark Souls and Burnout Revenge.
Two very comparable games.
Yes. And by a vote of 11 to 7, the second inductee joining Pokemon Red and Blue to inaugurate the 2022 Hall of Game class is Burnout Revenge.
Yes! Yes! No
Nice.
way.
Yes. Sorry, Dark Souls. It's Burnout's time.
Yeah, GG's, Omar, Dark
Yeah.
Souls, good stuff.
Respect.
But,
I know.
it's no Burnout Revenge.
Hey, Burnout Revenge is a damn good video game.
Oh, yeah.
And to be honest, I'm pretty excited you brought that before Paradise, or anyone did that one too, because that style is was kind of refined to a perfect degree with those games. I feel like.
Did we all play Burnout Revenge here? Just curious.
I never played it.
Never
I played
it?
more of it on I didn't play that one too much, but the style of it I played Legends on my PSP a lot.
Gotcha.
I think it coming down the way that Christian framed it between Dark Souls and Burnout Revenge is pretty awesome.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
pretty funny.
That's what the Hall of Game is all about,
Yep.
For sure. I'm excited to put a car on the banner of characters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dark Souls getting the same amount of points for as Simpsons Hit and Run.
They tied.
It's all right.
Yeah. Do you want to run through where your votes shook out?
Sure.
What's that?
What you voted for?
Oh, sure.
We can just go in the same order.
All right. Yeah. So I'll start from my 1-point choice. Was Dark Souls. I'm not a big From guy. I did appreciate Omar's pitch, and it made me more interested in, I guess, the older From games, including Dark Souls. But yeah, I tried Elden Ring and didn't do it for me. I am a big Elden Ring quitter.
It's too late, but let me say, fuck Elden Ring. Dark Souls 1's way better.
Wow.
Give it a try. But yeah,
I might.
I got you.
I might. I enjoyed Bloodborne for what it was, but then I just kind of fell off. So maybe. But for the 3 spot, I voted for Burnout because I know anytime people talk about the Burnout series, I think it's generally Burnout Revenge from what I hear. And I think the fact of just being able to sort of mess around and listen to music and blow up cars and stuff by crashing into them, sounds really fun. So that's my 3 spot, and then of course Pokemon was the number 5 spot. Love those games. Christian and I had a whole podcast about them, and they were a lot of fun. I like those a lot. I played those played Blue in 2019, I think, and that was 20 years after it came out or something like that, and held up very well, I thought. So glad that's on the list. That was those are some of my favorites. So I enjoyed those quite a bit.
My votes shook out to I have one to The Simpsons. Very similar to Jack. Very restrictive of what I could experience as a child, and definitely couldn't watch The Simpsons. But The Simpsons Hit and Run was my GTA. Love that game. Well presented, I thought. 3 points I gave to Burnout because I thought Mike gave a very passionate pitch of Burnout, and I was vaguely familiar that the older Burnout games were more not open world, and everything that you said about Revenge sounded like just a really great time. So the presentation really sold it for me, and I want to check it out now because I don't really have experience with the old Burnout games before Paradise. And then I did give 5 to Dark Souls because that's one of the greatest games I've played in my entire life. And knowing the passion Omar has for it with the presentation and seeing some of the streams also, it's a really cool game, and I know how much you like it, so I wanted to give it its due. So
you a real one, Sea Dog.
I got you. We'll get a From game in eventually.
I know. It won't be the end of this.
No, I won't. Mike, how did yours shake out?
So, I thought everybody gave a great presentation. I think this was probably the hardest one so far for me in terms of like where I would place things, because I think every single one of these probably could have taken the top spot. But I had to give 1 point to Dark Souls. I do like Elden Ring. It's the first FromSoft game that I've ever played, and I'm still working my way through it. Not quite quitting yet, but I just think that when it comes to some of the other games that are on here, I think maybe I was a little bit swayed by nostalgia, but also just in terms of impact, I think now moving on to my next pick, Pokemon is definitely a more impactful game in terms of just like a franchise and all that kind of stuff. Pokemon's like larger than life and all that. And I think that without, Red and Blue, I don't know if we definitely wouldn't have what we have now with Pokemon. And I also think Christian gave a great presentation, so I gave that 3 points. And of course, Simpsons Hit and Run, 5 points, just because that game slaps so hard. And it's so much fun. And I have a lot of memories playing that myself. So all 3 of these games were great, but that's how it shook out for me.
I gave 1 point to Simpsons Hit and Run because it was a licensed game. Arrgh. You have that on the fucking list. What is that bullshit? I don't mean that. A little bit. I don't know. I tried to bring in Beatles Rock Band last time, and now I'm just bitter about it. But not really. I just don't have that much experience with Simpsons Hit and Run. But I thought the presentation was nice, and I also could relate to being banned from TV shows, and then I kept thinking about that, which, yeah. It's 3 points for Pokemon Hit and Run. Sorry, Pokemon Red and Blue.
I'll play that game.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, dude. Get on a Ponyta, fuck people up. Yeah, Pokemon's the greatest video game of all time. I don't know, it's real good, and that was the one to bring. I was happy to see the original being propped up like that. 5 points. I much to my dismay, I gave it to Burnout Revenge like a fucking idiot.
What?
I mean, it was great. I just wonder if I would have swapped Burnout and Simpsons, would I have got Dark Souls in? Is that how the math would have worked? But no, Burnout. That was sick as hell, Mike. I think that was awesome. I remember maybe the first time we did this or second time, you and I both also related to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. So I just feel like you must have had a pretty good childhood of gaming right there. And Burnout Revenge is pretty awesome. That style of Burnout's pretty great. So yeah, that was my thinking.
Well, very nice. So that's how it shook out. That is the first induction of 2022. Those are the 2 games rounding out the top 10 for the time being, at least. It's not meant to be a top 10, but for all intents and purposes, the 10 best games ever made, rounded out by Burnout Revenge and Pokemon Red and Blue.
Ranking all these.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be very fun.
We would kill ourselves. I don't know. Someone would die.
We can all post an individual ranking of the order of these. Here's a fun guess also. The last time Kevin missed it, he was furious about Mirror's Edge getting in. I think he'd be okay. I think he'd probably be fine with Burnout because he's a big racing game guy. But
Mirror's Edge truly is one of the greatest games of all time. just like
It
any
is.
game on this list. But that one will get number 1 on the ranking too. Just watch.
I think
For
that
sure.
might be one of the best picks on here. Like most like untraditional, like you'd see all these and be like, yeah. Wait, what? What's that doing out there?
Oh yeah. But yeah, that is the ceremony. So we will return for another one in the summer, most likely June. But until then, everybody, thank you for joining. Would you like to sign off, plug something if you want to? We'll just go order presentation. So Jack, let's hear it.
Sure. Thanks for having me. Always enjoyed these. You can follow me on Twitter at Fascinated Jack. And now starts the time of me thinking of what game to choose next. I chose this game immediately after the Hall of Game. I believe I texted Christian during the previous Hall of Game.
You did.
And I got nothing for next time. So I got to think about that.
Very nice. Yeah, I was going back and forth up until yesterday of what game I wanted to pick. And now that there is a JRPG in here, I feel free, so I can do something else. You can find me Twitter and TikTok at Shun2D2, as well as here, youtube.com/droidclicks for videos, podcasts, all that stuff.